Call the police. He's threatening me. That's how it started. Karen Wilson shrieking like she was auditioning for a soap opera, voice hitting this wild, brittle note as she pointed at me on my own front porch, her phone already out like she was filming some reality TV showdown. All because I'd said in the calmest dad voice I could muster, "No, thank you," when she demanded I join her so-called HOA and cough up $450 a month for what exactly? Nothing but a handful of threats dressed up as community standards. That was my crime. And I'll never forget the way she narrowed her eyes, lips pursed like she'd tasted something rotten, then stomped off. 20 minutes later, boom, red and blue lights strobing against my living room windows, my little ones crying, neighbors peeking through blinds. All because I told this self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac that I wouldn't pay up. You want to know how fast your life can flip from normal to circus? Buckle up. This is just the opening act. Let me back up a sec. 8 months earlier, it was October, golden leaves skittering across the sidewalks, and we just unloaded the last box at our new place on Maple Ridge Drive. Man, that house meant everything. Years of scraping by, late-night budgeting sessions with my wife, Natalie, who's an ER doctor, and our 2 wild kids, Emma, 8 full of questions, and Jack, 5, full of Legos. The neighborhood looked like a postcard. Lawns cut with military precision, trees blazing with fall color, families waving as they walked dogs or loaded up minivans for soccer practice. I'm Alex Scott, 38, been chasing tax fraud and compliance cases at the IRS for 15 years. Yeah, I know, the tax guy, but stick with me. First 3 days in, we're living the dream. Then this welcome package shows up, heavy envelope, thick cardstock, logo that screamed Maple Ridge Homeowners Association, as if it was some Fortune 500 company. Inside, glossy printouts, fancy rules about grass height, trash bins, mailbox design, you name it. But here's the kicker. $450 a month dues, up from $150 last year with fines that started at $100 and could balloon to $500. I'm talking all stick, no carrot, and not a shred of proof it was legit. See, after years of tracking shady money moves, I could smell something fishy before I'd even finish my coffee. So I started digging, pulled the county property records. No legal tie to any HOA for our house. Checked the state business registry. Nothing for Maple Ridge HOA. IRS filings? Nope. No nonprofit status. No tax returns. What we had was a first-class scam. One that counted on most folks not knowing a legal covenant from a can of soup. 3 days later, I decided to visit Karen. Her house was the polar opposite of cozy. Brand new Mercedes in the drive. Landscaping so sharp you could cut yourself on the shrubs. Security cameras everywhere. She spotted the manila folder in my hand and stiffened. We squared off right there on her porch, sunlight hard and bright. Her knuckles pale on the rail as I laid out the facts. She hit me with, legal technicalities don't matter when community standards are at stake. You could practically hear her ring clink against the ironwork, see the little flicker of panic behind her smile. Karen wasn't clueless. She was a businesswoman running a neighborhood racket, hiding her hustle behind good neighbor talk. I know a shakedown when I see one, I told her. She didn't blink. Most people know better than to make trouble for their neighbors, she replied, jaw-locked. And Mrs. Miller, our elderly neighbor, peeked through her curtains, then vanished when Karen caught her eye. It was a whole performance, right down to her manicured nails and the fake jewelry she'd just slipped off before coming outside. That's when I realized this wasn't just an HOA, it was organized fraud, and Karen knew it. That night, I started documenting everything. Screenshots, emails, dates, times. After all those years at the IRS, I recognized the playbook, and I knew she'd picked the wrong guy to bully. Then the pressure started, slow at first, then relentless. Letters began showing up in my office and at Natalie's hospital. Each one was more official-looking than the last, accusing us of disrupting community harmony. And then came the social media war. Overnight, a Maple Ridge Community Standards group popped up, hundreds of members, with posts outing us for everything from letting the grass go brown in a drought to our kids' bikes cluttering the sidewalk. They even snapped photos of us playing in the yard, twisting it into evidence we were breaking the peace. Week 5, things kicked up a notch. Bogus complaints to city code enforcement, fake noise reports, anonymous police calls about suspicious activity. All designed to drown us in busy work and shame us out of the neighborhood, without Karen ever leaving fingerprints. But week 6, she crossed a line. It was December 21st. Our kids were stringing up Christmas lights, the whole house glowing with warmth, frost sparkling on the grass. Then 2 patrol cars pulled up, no sirens, just lights, officers stepping out, neighbors gathering. Karen showed up flanked by her Greek chorus. Anderson, Mitchell, Davis, her loyal minions, arms crossed like they were about to watch an execution. The cops announced they were responding to reports of domestic disturbance and fraud. My daughter, Emma, clung to my leg, whispering, "Are we bad guys, Daddy?" Jack hid behind the Christmas tree. Natalie, fresh off a 12-hour ER shift, was shaking. Karen handed over her evidence, neatly printed, color-coded, but all it proved was she was running a business, not a real community group. The officers saw through it. They left without incident, but not before my kids got a front row seat to how to weaponize the police. The neighborhood WhatsApp group lit up, rumors flying. Karen stood in my front yard, triumphant, as the wind scattered her paperwork, her lies, all over my lawn. That night, something snapped. I tried to take the high road, keep my kids out of it. But seeing Emma cry, seeing Jack so scared, that's when I got mad. Out came the binders, the big wall chart. Every fake letter, every post, every complaint mapped out and cross-referenced. Natalie made coffee and stood guard. Emma drew a picture of the mean lady. I made a promise. I protect this family. Here's where things twist. Right when I thought I was alone, Mr. Paris, the retired accountant 2 houses down, slid me an envelope at a coffee shop downtown. She tried to get me to cook the books. I said no. "Be careful," he whispered. And Mrs. Miller, hands trembling, let me in her kitchen to share her own stories. Years of threats, all the things Karen had done to keep folks quiet. I realized we weren't the only targets. By February, I'd build a case, 40 pages of evidence, solid enough to file a federal whistleblower report. Sent it certified mail, hands sweating. That's when Karen went nuclear. She hired a PI, dug up everything she could on me, found out I worked for the IRS. Suddenly, she's spinning her own sob story to lawyers and the local news, painting herself as a victim of government harassment. Next thing I know, I'm hauled into my boss's office, stripped of my badge and computer access, waiting to be cleared. My career, our mortgage, everything hanging by a thread. And my kids, wide-eyed, asking if I'd done something wrong. But here's the punchline. Karen's bogus complaint set off a real investigation by the Treasury Inspector General. And you know how the government works? If they look at me, they have to look at her, too. Forensic accountants tore through her paperwork. And what they found, let's just say, for someone obsessed with paperwork, she left a lot of dirty footprints. Unreported income, fake tax filings, forged evidence, money moving in circles. It was a house of cards, and every page made it worse. Months passed. Federal investigators built their case. Wire fraud, mail fraud, tax evasion, the works. Karen's lawyer got subpoenaed. Her bank accounts froze. Neighbors started talking, quietly at first, then in whispers on front lawns, then openly at the school bus stop. When the day finally came, it was early, just after sunrise. Karen stepped out in her silk bathrobe to grab the paper, saw the line of government cars, and you could see the color drain from her face. By 7:30 a.m., she was in cuffs, her empire crumbling while the same neighbors she'd bullied for years filmed the whole thing in their pajamas, some holding cups of coffee like they'd been waiting for this show all year. Her arrest was something to behold. A mix of shock, tears, bargaining, denial. 8 months after she tried to ruin us, Karen Wilson was led away, her manicured hands useless, her reign of terror finally over. The same porch she'd used to lord over Maple Ridge now belonged to the feds, and justice, for once, looked exactly like it should. After all that, we didn't chase headlines. No interviews, no TV. We just tried to heal, to let our kids feel safe again. A new HOA formed. Real elections, transparency, honest-to-God community events. People who'd moved away even came back. Mrs. Miller started sleeping with her windows open. Emma and Jack learned what it means to stand up to a bully and that sometimes, just sometimes, the system works. A year later, Karen was in federal prison, assets seized, barred from ever running an HOA again. The neighborhood is different now. We've got block parties, coffee mornings, birthday parades, real neighbors, not hostages. My own career survived and even took off. Turns out, people like a tax guy who fights the real bad guys. That old leather binder Karen used to threaten us? Now it sits in an evidence locker, tagged and cataloged. Our new HOA binder. Thin as a pancake, just a list of names and Emma's drawing. My daddy helps good guys win. So let me ask you, what would you have done? Paid up and kept your head down? Or risked your job, your name, your family's peace to do what's right? I want to hear your story. Drop a comment, share your own run-in with fake authority, and let's talk about what justice really looks like in a place like this. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about Karen or me or Maple Ridge Drive. It's about the kind of world we want to build and whether we'll ever stop standing up to the Karens of this world, one story at a time.